It's a little early, isn't it?
Yeah, we have 5 minutes.
How do you do the camera? Do you put the camera on me or the room or what?
I point it towards you.
Okay.
So where would you like to sit?
Well, I'll probably talk here.
Okay.
And then when I sit, I'll just move that over.
Okay, yeah. This typically it's easier if it's here.
Here?
Yeah, because it's just it's over here. No, I make you do everything.
Yeah. Mars. Once. Why did anybody wanting to do that? I have no idea. Then it came down with the. Jeffrey Epstein bars and all. Two times. All right, so when a meeting starts at 10 o'clock, I will start at 10. Just gonna let you know. And I'm gonna keep these doors closed because it has sounded like a rave is going on out there the last couple of weeks. So we wanna keep those doors. Joe, you can come in, just close it behind you, please. Keep the noise in or out, however we look at it. So now that that's out of the way, good morning. Thank you all for being here. It's exciting to be here. I'm going to start with a little gratitude today. First of all, and I know Frank's not in the meeting, but I want to shout out Frank. Frank was really helpful over the last few weeks, getting me information, procedures, the way it works. For those of you that I have not met, I have never been a part of the KW family before. So all the vernacular, all the slang, all the terminology, all the acronyms, they're all new to me. I don't know what any of them mean. So I go to Joe with all of that stuff. So please continue to help me learn. So Frank, thank you for everything that you did. Now, none of this would have been possible without the most amazing person I have encountered in ages in Sandy. Absolute rock star. And when I found out what she has gone through and put up with over the last few months, and that she only came on board less than a year ago, and everything that she knows, it just blew me away. So, Robert, how do you like working with Sandy? Amazing. Yep, best person. So Robert and Sandy are going to be tied together at the hip. If you have not yet met Robert Welper, there he is. Meet, mild, he doesn't like to stand up in front of the camera, so he makes me do all that. Anthony Aguilera, marketing director. Anthony is going to speak in a little while after we get going about how he can help all of you with, personalized custom marketing, social media, whatever, however that looks, whatever you need. Anthony is ready to step in and take it over. Now, I also want to shout out Chris Vogt, our broker. So at Avenue 8, I had a broker by the name of Abe Matar. And Abe blew me away. Abe was engaged. He was available for agents. He was in meetings. He spoke up. I had never had that before. There were times where I didn't even really know, like, who is the broker of record? Like, who do I go to? They were that checked out. So Abe really reset that bar. And I got to say, in the last 2 weeks, I don't know how Chris has the bandwidth to do everything that he's doing. So his RPA review yesterday in 2 hours got through 8 pages in a really efficient manner. And I love the way he had it on the screen, where he had the yellow highlights and the pink highlights, and he could circle stuff and put it up. I've never had that ability. Maybe I do, I just don't know how to use it. So Chris, I'm really looking forward to getting to work with you, because I am an absolute nut when it comes to our contracts and our paperwork. Because if you know the contract, you can be a really great agent. You do not need 10 years of experience in our business to be a smoking real estate agent if you know what's in the contract. And the inverse, when you find yourself in that position, if you've only been doing this a couple of years and you find yourself in a situation where another agent is saying to you with the finger wag, you have to do it, it's in the contract, odds are you're being bullied. They don't know the contract, but they've been doing it for 30 years. So they're going to try and bully you. And they'll tell you, Glenn, I've been doing this for 35 years. I tell people that I've been doing this for 35 years. Now, the really smart ones will ask me, yeah, when did you get good at it? About 20 years ago. So I started taking this. I made a ton of money in the first 15 years with no clue what I was doing. I was good with people. I knew how to negotiate. I didn't have a clue about the contracts, or nobody cared back then. Nobody cared. It was the Wild West. Well, guess what? We live in the most litigious city on the planet is Los Angeles. And we operate in the most litigious industry on the planet, real estate. And even though we don't do real estate attorney stuff, we do all the stuff that real estate attorneys do in 45 other places in the country. They bring them in to do the contracts and the this and the that. We handle all of that. So I have a really high bar of excellence that I expect our agents to adhere to. If you don't know the contract, let's sit down and get you to know the contract. Now, I do contract training a little different than Chris and probably CAR and anybody else you've seen. And I try to make it as fun as it can be. It's like chewing on tinfoil and laughing at the same time. But a lot of stories, a lot of concept goes into it. I always say, if you understand the concept, everything else is easy. Because agents will come to me and they'll go, oh, I need verbiage for this document, X, Y, and Z. And I'll say, okay, who do you represent? What are you trying to convey? We go through and I go, okay, great. And I'll give them some verbiage. And I'll go, oh, can you say that again? No. Why not? I already said it, like it came out of my head and I don't remember what I said. Well, but don't you do it all the time? No. I understand the concept. And my words coming out of your mouth are going to sound really flat. They're going to be fake. So I need you to understand the concept so that you can transfer that concept and translate it into the words that you use. Then it'll sound genuine coming out of your mouth. So the whole thing with scripts are great if you use it as a checklist. Don't use those words. Go through the script, use it as a checklist, like a pre-flight, you're getting on an airplane, you got a pre-flight checklist. And then what does it mean? And when you can translate what it means into your own words that you would use, people that you already know that are in your sphere will respond really well with that. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So if it doesn't, just stop me anytime you want to stop. Little more prelude to anything else office related. I'm not a big fan of outside vendors coming in and talking at the office meeting. Maybe 4 times a year. I like it when they'll come in. I always pull them aside ahead of time and I go, look, here's the thing. Bring the steak, not the sizzle. Don't stand up here in front of a room and sell your services. Nobody wants to hear it. Everybody's got their pet escrow officer, title rep, home warranty rep, whatever it is. You don't have to do any of that. Stand up here, answer questions, tell them what it is that you offer. And not, let me show you our discount program. Let me show you. If they're interested, they're going to pull you aside. They're going to do that. Keep it to 5, maybe 10 minutes if the room is riveted. And then I'm going to get the hook out and pull them off. Nobody wants to hear any of that. So if there's anybody that you guys love having come in, let me know. Is that a hand? Okay. And I will talk to them. I am also a really big fan of following trends. What is going on in either our market, another market, real estate around the world, real estate around the country, real estate in the state, because those trends, you'll figure out if you haven't already, we're kind of insulated in LA and Southern California. So there will be stuff that starts in Oklahoma and spreads to Florida and then Pennsylvania that may take anywhere from 6 to 18 months to show up here. But we need to know about it because it's trending. It's what's happening and what's going on. Lawsuits, for instance, have been up dramatically in the last 2 years in California, real estate lawsuits. So I have a whole list of rules that guide my life. There's 1,000 rules. The top 3 never change. Number 3 is always manage everybody's expectations every step of the way. Number 2, clarity is king. And number 3, don't get sued. Any transaction you're ever involved in, the payoff is never worth getting sued over, whatever that looks like. So sometimes the worst thing that you can do in a transaction is close that transaction, if it's going to lead to a lawsuit. Now, if you're really good at managing everybody's expectations along the way, every step of the way, probably never going to get sued, because if you manage their expectations, you're automatically going to have clarity. And when you have that clarity, the odds of getting sued are very low. So the issue becomes human nature. We get good at what it is that we do. And I hear this from agents all the time. I know why they did it. Well, if you haven't asked them, you might have an assumption, but you really don't know. Nah, I've been doing this a long time. I know why they did it. Did you ask them? No. You don't know anything. You need to ask it. Be an adult. And I'll put this in terms that we all understand. Oh my God, I lost 3 listings this week. Somebody will say that to me and I'll go, oh my God, you lost 3 listings. I don't remember signing off on 3 cancellations. What happened? Oh, no. I didn't cancel them. Well, then how did you lose 3 listings? Oh, I had listing appointments. Oh, so for clarity, you didn't lose listings. You failed to secure listings. Is that accurate? Yes. Oh, that's very different. Losing a listing is your client calls me and they're pissed off and they tell me what you said you were going to do and then didn't do it. and then I talk to you and you say, yeah, I did tell them I was gonna do that and they didn't do it, we're gonna cancel that listing. The moment you don't follow through on what you committed to with a client, that client has a valid reason to get out of that listing or out of that contract. That, thank you, Parnian, that would be losing a listing. Failing to secure a listing. Oh, I know why they went with somebody else. Really? You're like Karnak, you know this stuff. No, I know why. Why do you think they went with somebody else? Oh, well, somebody gave them a higher price. Somebody gave them a lower commission, or well, somebody was gonna pay for their staging. Did you ask them? Do you know that? No, I don't need to. Yeah, you do. You need to. Be an adult, pick up the phone, go, hey, Jim, it's Scott. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work together. But my goal is to always, every day, work on being the best agent that I can be. I would love it if you could tell me, was there something I could have done better, or information I could have shared with you that would have helped me so that we could have worked together. And what I've figured out over the years is when I'm willing to admit that I worked on a lot of assumptions with a client, I didn't listen to them. When I open myself up to their criticism, their feedback, maybe now they want to work together. Maybe half the time they go, I could work with this guy. And now we reopen that conversation. But that conversation wouldn't reopen if I wasn't man enough to pick up the phone and say, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? We all hate to do that, right? We don't want to say, Albert, what did I do wrong? Because we're all perfect, right? And I'm charming and brilliant. I own it. I absolutely own it. I'm phenomenal at what I do, but I'm not perfect or infallible. And I don't think any of us are. None of us have all the answers. So the best way to get all the answers is to ask somebody. Get your team involved. You look around the room here, it's a great team. I've had more awesome conversations with agents in the last 2 weeks. Walking around the office and sitting on desks and talking to you guys. And I'm like, this is a great office. There's a brain trust here. So Glenn, if somebody needed help in the office and they came to you, would you give them advice? Would you talk to them and help them?
Of course, if I knew what to run to, yeah.
If they came to you and you didn't know what it was, you'd take them to somebody else that probably knows. You'd go to Joe or something, right? Yeah, that's what makes a strong team. Because none of us have all of the answers. We don't. I have been doing this for 35 years. And I own what I don't know about being a real estate agent. I don't keep up on interest rates. You know what I do if I need to know interest rates? I pick up the phone and I call John Cellino, who I've got a 25-year relationship with. And I go, hey, John, what are rates doing today? And he'll give me the whole, okay, thanks. And I hang up. I don't need to know it. I need to know where to go to get it. That's what makes me a genius, is knowing where to go to get it. Looking somebody in the eye and saying, Mitra, I don't know, but I know how to find out, makes you look like a genius. Because none of us have all the answers. And nobody wants to work with the person that tells them they have all the answers. Instead, I've chosen to align myself with the best and the brightest in the industry. So when I don't know, I'm going to make a note and I'm going to look at my watch and I'm going to go, can I get back to you at 12 o'clock with that answer? And they'll go, God, yeah, cool. Because I am aligned with the best and the brightest, and I'm going to talk to somebody that I know has the answer to that question. It's that simple. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. So trends and the big one. I'll quit harping after this one. Value. Do you all know your value? And can you articulate your value? Because I will tell you, if somebody you knew got arrested and they were going to court, they're not looking for the cheapest or the free public defender to represent them. They're going to figure out how much money they have, and they're going to hire the best attorney that they can find to defend them in court. Because they got skin in the game, right? They don't want to go to jail. Just like they're gonna hire the best CPA they can hire. Because even if they gotta pay him $25,000, but it saves them $50,000, it's a win. With a doctor, you go to your doctor for a checkup, a really good GP, a general practitioner, if they see something that needs to be done, they don't start working on you. They refer you to a specialist that specializes in whatever that is. So what's your specialty in real estate? What do you do? You all know. Oh, we're gonna get there in a minute. You all know what you do. Some of you sell condos. Some of you have probably sold a boatload of mobile homes. And if you have, by the way, I need to know you because I haven't, and it comes up from time to time. And so what I have to do is I have to pick up, I got to phone a friend. And I call Sarah Kososki, a Coldwell banker who, we used to work together. And I go, hey, I got some mobile home questions. And because of her years of experience in Malibu, I get the answers I need. And they're great. I don't need to know it. Why do I need to know the ins and outs of selling a mobile home when I've never sold one and I might go the rest of my career with nobody in this room selling one? I don't need to know it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. So figure out what it is that you do and then figure out your value. The best question in the world is why. And when we can get to why, we can solve any problem. The issue is along the way to getting to the root of why, there's 1,000 side trips that we take, different directions that we go, distractions. Okay, distraction is the bane of our existence as human beings. Distraction is easy because it puts us in comfort and we want to go there. So we distract ourselves. But when we can stay on point and figure out why, keep asking questions, we can solve any problem. The best way to do that is to go to your brain trust, people in the room. If you look around this room, the people that surround us on a daily basis, this is your immediate brain trust. And we all have a mentor, right? Somebody that we call, we go to lunch with and talk, whatever, life events, business, whatever. You'll start to figure out the parallels between real estate and life. Oh my God, it's exactly the same. The lessons that I learned from agents that helped me raise my kids, too many to count. And then the lessons I learned from my kids that I got to apply to agents, I'm like, oh, this is like cheating. It's the easiest thing in the world because it's the exact same swirl going on. All we have to do is pay attention to it. And the problem comes in when we overcomplicate anything. The best way to not overcomplicate a situation is sit down, grab a notepad, and write on the notepad what the issue is. What am I trying to get to? And then just do a 30-second brain dump on it. Everything that pops into your head, write it down on that notepad. The answer is going to be there. Who you have to talk to, resources you have to go to, whatever it may be, you'll figure it out. It's interesting. Chris was talking yesterday in the RPA review about the requirements from a seller in a condominium, right? I hate condos, not as much as leases, but I'll explain why. We'll get there. So I really hate leases. So one of the items that the seller must provide in the sale of a condo as part of their disclosure packet is 12 months of HOA minutes. Okay, it's really that simple. So agents, if we don't know what we're supposed to get from a listing agent for our buyers, and that transaction closes, we didn't have clarity, we didn't have all the disclosures we needed, we didn't have those minutes, 12 months of minutes, and then guess what we're gonna have? We're gonna have a lawsuit, because somewhere buried in that 12 months of those minutes, there's a conversation that there's gonna be a new roof in the next year on the condo, and everybody is gonna be assessed a $28,000 assessment to cover their portion of that new roof. And then, of course, we have to ask ourselves, gee, is that why the seller wanted to sell, to get out before they had to pony up $28,000 for for their portion of the assessment. So we need to know this stuff, guys. This is the why of real estate. Your clients come to you to be the professional. They rely on you. So your education, I hate to say it because it sounds daunting, a minimum of 12 hours a week to be a professional real estate agent. So 12 hours a week, you look at it, oh my God, where am I going to get 12 hours? Well, I'll tell you where you're going to get 12 hours. First of all, you're going to show up to this meeting, it's going to be an hour. That's one. Tuesdays, you're going to go on Caravan. That's 3 hours on Tuesdays from 11 to 2. Now, if you're really smart, you start at about 10:30 and you go to about 2:30 and you pick 3 or 4 people to fill your car. Tom, you want to go on Caravan this week? Giselle, you want to go on Caravan this week? And I'm going to fill my car. And then in the car, I'm going to ask, hey, Tom, what have you seen this week? Giselle, what have you seen this week? What have we noticed? And what did you learn? And then I find out that Giselle read a Real Deal article that I didn't read. Cool. I got educated on Caravan in the car because we're talking about what we do for a living. We're making ourselves better. Cool. So now I'm up to 5 hours a week right there. Get to go out on a weekend, a Saturday or a Sunday, and look at some open houses. There's 3 more hours. So now we're already at 8. You haven't even read any articles, watched any YouTube videos, no podcasts, no nothing. And you haven't even sat down for any of the trainings that are available here. 12 hours a week of education is a no-brainer. Anybody can knock it out of the park. Now, 20 hours a week is what I want to see agents do, because that's what's going to differentiate the good agent from the exceptional agent. The extra hours that they put into it. And you have to maintain and retain everything that you learn. So I watch people in trainings, and usually what I would do is about a 2 hour a week, word for word, line for line, letter for letter training on the contracts. And I watch people that scribble all the notes, and they do pages and pages, 3 or 4 or 5 pages of notes every week in a 2 hour training. My question is, are they ever going to look at those notes again? Or are they the kind of people that mechanically putting something on paper transmits it into their head? I've known people that were like that. I could talk to Anthony all day and it's just like Charlie Brown's mom in the corner. But the moment he starts writing down what I say, his brain remembers it. So, yes, sir. What's your name, by the way?
Donati.
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 You were on the call yesterday.
Yeah, well, there.
Excellent.
Yeah, I know. Okay, what about the people who focus on one thing?
What do you mean?
Like me, I focus only on residential lots. How can I caravan on those?
So you're probably not going to caravan residential lots. What I would tell you to do, though, is figure out who else does residential lots. Like, do you know Neville Graham?
No.
So Neville Graham sells dirt. That's what he does. He sells vacant land. And I've known Neville for 25 years. We met he represented a buyer in a listing that I had in Hollywood Hills. And he was the nicest guy in the world. And then we started working together, and he's the dirt guy. So I would hunt down the dirt people and do coffees with them to figure out what's going on out there. Now, when you go to the MLS and you look at, vacant land listings, it's probably very, very few that actually hit the MLS. A lot of agents hold them in their pocket, almost the way commercial agents do. So you got to go through. What I would do is I would sit down with the MLS and I would look and see who has sold, who has listed and represented buyers on vacant land in the MLS for like the last 5 years. Look for names that come up repeatedly and create a relationship with them. Because the best thing we can do is have relationships in real estate brokerage. And remember, never burn a bridge with another agent. Your clients are going to come and go over the years. Other agents, as long as you're in the business, they're probably still going to be in the business, and you're going to need them at some point, I guarantee. And I have learned this lesson when we close an escrow and somebody has done some really dastardly things. And after the close of escrow, I just shred them. And then literally 2 weeks later, a client goes, oh, hey, I want to see this house on Beloit. And I look and it's that agent. Okay. So instant karma happens in real estate. It feels good in the moment to drop that mic. Don't do it. sit with them, take them to coffee and go, hey, let's talk about this. So the next time we work together, did I do a good job? And they'll go, yeah, you did a good job. Let's be partners, not enemies next time. And create that. Sir,
Can you repeat that, raw land thing with Donati said? Neville Graham.
Neville, Neville Graham.
Great relationship with an agent.
Okay, so as real estate agents, 20% of your job is to create relationship with other agents. Now, around town is one thing. Create relationships around town. Part of the reason that I'm so big on Caravan is because when somebody knows you, they're more likely to learn to like you. Once they like you, they're willing to learn to trust you. And once they trust you, they're willing to look into working with you. So you go on Caravan and I walk in and you have to pick Caravan your way. Pick the neighborhood that you like to work in. Maybe you do condos, not single family. So on Caravan Day, go through and look at all the condos. Figure it out, make your list. And I know agents, their goal is 30 on Caravan. They want to see 30 properties. I'm sorry, if you're going to see 30 properties on Caravan, you have to move like the Flash. I don't want 30. I don't want quality, I want quantity. I'm not going on Caravan, the same reason that all of you go on Caravan, to look for properties for clients. I'm going on Caravan to create relationship with agents that I might not know, or solidify relationships that I've had for years. Maybe I haven't run into Robert Radcliffe in 6 months and he's got something open. I'm gonna go see it because I like Rob. I'm gonna go reconnect with Rob, and Rob's gonna go, what are you doing? That's the relationship element of it. So with regards to the land, there's not as much land that sells in the city. But if you can find the people that are doing it and go to coffee with them once a month, you're probably going to have your finger on the pulse. And here's why. They want to sell all the land. They don't want people representing the buyers on the land to be idiots. They want somebody representing the buyers on the land that actually knows how to sell land. Somebody that knows the difference between a fully entitled parcel of dirt and right next door, the exact same size of a lot that's not entitled at all. It's just raw dirt. They want an agent that knows the difference. Utilities are there, planning has been there. These things, they want to know that they're working with a pro because, well, that leads me to something I've said for years, which is if you're not willing to do your job and the job of everybody else in a transaction, you're in the wrong business. Because there's a lot of idiots out there. There's a lot of morons selling real estate. There's a lot of morons selling real estate, making a couple of $1 million a year doing it. Doesn't mean they're good at it. It means they're good at self-promoting. So if you're good at it, are you good at selling dirt?
I think so, I mean, I go to people's places.
Okay. Do you self-promote? Do you put out there?
No.
Okay. So there's a difference between the agents that are doing $2 million a year, into their bank account, and really good agents that aren't doing $2 million a year. The ones making $2 million a year, they go out and they tell everybody how good they are. So there's an expression. How can I say it? Because I know we're on camera. I'm just going to say it. The meek shall inherit the shit. Okay. If you can't speak up and be confident in your ability as an agent, why would anybody else want to work with you? So own it. It's okay. Now you don't want to flip that pendulum all the way over. And now you just sound like an arrogant jerk. Like say, hey, I'm really good at selling dirt. And you know what? I get better at it every day. And most agents don't want to sell dirt. Number one, the margins are lower. Right? You sell dirt and it's $300,000. If there was a house on it, it'd be $2 million. So you work really hard to do it and probably make less money, but I'm good at it. So I need to do it because people need me. You don't want to buy a piece of dirt expecting that you can build X, Y, and Z on it. And then after you've closed escrow, you've paid the money, which generally is all cash with dirt, right? You don't get a loan on it. Then you find out somebody at city planning comes in and says you can't build what you want to build. And there's a reason that that was vacant land all along. You didn't know it. You don't want that. You want an agent that knows who to talk to at Malibu Planning or Beverly Hills Planning or City of LA, Santa Monica, wherever, to figure out what can be done. Silly little things like the setbacks. Is it a corner lot? Is it a middle lot? How does that differ? The McMansionization thing, remember 10 years ago, that was the hot buzz was McMansionization, and oh my God, you can only build 42% of the lot size, and you need people that understand that stuff. And see, for me, I knew it all 8 or 10 years ago. It hasn't really come up since then. So if Giselle came to me and said, talk to me about McMansionization, I'd go, let's talk after lunch. And I crunch a bunch of it, and after lunch, I could talk about it. So right now, I don't know. I'd find out and get back to it. So you have to be a pro at what you do. And it's funny because for years and years and years, when I was a real estate agent, people would say, oh, what do you do for a living? You know, we'd be at a friend's party or something. Oh, what do you do for? I was so embarrassed to say I was a real estate agent. I would say, I'm in sales. Leave it at that. That all changed the day that I realized how badly my clients need me and my abilities. And then I went, oh my God, they need me. I'm good at this. So now when people say, what do you do for a living? I say, I'm a professional negotiator. Most of them have never heard that before. And they go, whoa, I want to know more. Tell me more. What is that like? Well, what do you want to know? Because if I don't know what they want to know, I'm making something up, right? What do you want to know? How did you get into that? Well, I've always been good at sales. I remember a manager of mine telling me once you could sell ice to Eskimos. Like, no. I could sell ice to Eskimos if I thought they needed the ice. If not, I would figure out what they do need and I would sell them that. Because I'm not an ice salesman. I am an Eskimo helper. That's how I would have to see that. Because how with a clean conscience can I sell ice to Eskimos if they don't need the ice? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to figure out what they do need. And then I'm going to go figure out how to get it. So it took years to come to the realization how badly my clients needed me in real estate. And full circle, that was one of those days when I had one of the famous old hags of real estate, still in the business, by the way, it's 25 years ago. She's still in the business, and I love her, doing the finger wag. You have to do it. It's in the contract. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. So I had to crunch the contract, and I figured out, oh, it's not in the contract. That day, and that was about a $50,000 an awareness moment for my client. And my client was a billionaire. He didn't care anyway. But the confidence that it gave me to realize how badly my client, like what if that was my mom I was representing? $50,000 would be a big deal. It's you know, it's not about the money, it's about the taking care of the client. And the better we are at understanding who we are and what we do, the better we can do that. And then guess what? You don't need to go tell people how great you are at selling dirt, because the people that you've sold dirt for or to, suddenly they're going to be talking to friends. Oh, I just bought this lot, or I just sold this lot, and it was such a great process. And they're going to go, well, how'd you do it? Well, I had this great agent. And you let them be your ambassador out on the street. So it's okay to ask for the testimonials, but is it more powerful for you to tell somebody that you're phenomenal? Or is it more powerful for somebody that you've worked with to tell people you're phenomenal? I would say somebody else vouching for me, vastly more powerful than me saying, Glenn, trust me, you want to work with me. Why would he trust me? We haven't worked together yet. We barely know each other. So first we got to get to know each other, and we got to get to like each other, and then trust can come into it, and then we can work together. It's the natural progression of life, and we can't rush that. That's a mistake that a lot of agents make, you know, and what does that mistake look like? Oh, well, if you join the company and you don't have 6 closed transactions in your first 12 months, you're fired. Every broker in town has some version of that. I don't do that. It's like, I know what it takes. Come on in, Lonnie. I know what it takes to reach a competency level where you're comfortable getting out there and doing it. And guess what? People will continue to study, they will continue to learn, they will continue to absorb until they get it, and then they're willing to go do it. And then they'll go sell a lot of real estate. Some of the best agents in the business, they didn't come on strong their first year in the business. They were 3 or 4 years into the business and they were just determined that they were gonna do it. And then the day that it all clicked for them, suddenly they've got 4 escrows going. And now they went from, oh my God, how am I gonna make my car payment? To, oh my God, I need an assistant, literally overnight. Because everything came together. And it might take 2 or 3 years to do that. You can't rush that process. You can challenge yourself, but you can't rush the process. I can't force Lisa to learn something in a time that her brain is figuring out what it is that we're doing. And just because to me something is second nature, I can't treat it like it's second nature for anybody else. So we have to figure out together, what does this learning process look like? How do we get it done? Because everything that I'm going to do with you guys, you have to go do with your clients. Every single one. Any questions? Any thoughts? No? Shall we jump into the, what is that, the PowerPoint thing? Okay, cool. What are we starting with? I'm sorry if I think it's boring, I'm gonna go next. Okay, I love this. Is this a KW or a Frank thing? Tell me something good.
Frank?
It's a Frank thing?
Yeah, it's Frank.
So the esoterica behind something like this, we have to be grateful. Gratitude is everything. If you're not thankful for who you are and what you have, you come across as sour to everybody. So at night when I go to bed, I say my prayers. I thank God for my amazing life and health and everything. It's all gratitude. And in the morning when I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I survived the night. Thank you, God, I survived one more night. And I'm so excited to get to go out and do that, because now my wife doesn't have to come somebody cart my carcass out and deal with all the paperwork and everything. I don't like complication. I like it super simple. When I die, I'm planning to die somewhere far away so that my wife doesn't have to deal with it. Or my dogs. I have 7 of those. He's the only one that gets to come in. So tell us something good and own it. Yes.
You know what? I'm really happy that you're here.
I'm happy that I'm here too.
That's the good thing.
Okay, I'll tell you a little secret. The thought of ever going to Keller Williams was so foreign to me. When Josh finally got me to take a meeting, I took that meeting for one reason, so that I could tell him to his face, don't ever call me again. And I told Josh and Paul some really offensive stuff that I cannot share on camera. And they went, that's why we need you. And I went, oh, now I want to know more, right? My ego, right? They're petting my ego. Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. I have an ego, by the way. So that meeting was 2.5 hours long. And I left there and I'm driving home all the way across the valley. I live in the valley, West Valley. And I'm thinking, I know, right? And I'm thinking about this meeting. I think I called Robert from the car. And I'm like, dude, you're not going to believe this. So, how did the meeting go? And I go, I'm really liking KW. And he's like, what? Because all he'd ever heard from me for 14 years is how I really felt about KW. Yes, Carney.
So what is that KW has a reputation out there? Because you're not the only one.
I am gonna tell you exactly why that is. Here's why. When we started Partners Trust, there was a brokerage out in Thousand Oaks that heard about us and said, oh my God, we love what you're doing. We would love maybe to like be a franchise out here. So we went out to meet with them. And over the course of meeting with them, they had met with Aviara and you know, I think Catalyst was either still in the game. Yeah, I think Catalyst was still in the game. They had met with Catalyst and they had met with Keller Williams. And in the process of our meeting, they gave us the KW manual, the big red 4-inch thick book, the KW manual. We brought it back and read through it. and it blew our minds. Hands down, the best business model in real estate, not even close. And to this day, that's still true. But the issue is, if you build, put this in real estate terms. If you want to build a building that's going to last, you have to have a really good foundation, right? Start with solid ground, subfloors, whatever, caissons, pier, whatever, however you're going to do it. Great foundation. And then you build a really great building on top of it. And a lot of the KWs, they came at it the other way. They started at the top. Who sells a ton of real estate? Let's hire them and let them bring everybody that they want. And a lot of the people initially in Southern California that started some of the, whatever, marketplace is how we call these offices, marketplace, they were not well respected. So you take this killer business model and then hand it over to people that are, their only agenda is to make as much money for themselves as they can and nobody else. That's not my agenda, by the way. Never. My agenda is take care of people, and I'm going to have faith if I take care of all of you, and if our staff, if Sandy and Robert and Anthony take care of you, you're going to do more business and you're going to take care of us because you guys pay our salaries. I got to keep you happy so that the four of us get to eat. So the issue was, and I've got friends all over the country. My brother was a KW agent in Arizona. Loved it, raved about it. We would get together and I'd be like, dude, I don't get it. And he would talk to me and I'd go, oh yeah, I've never seen any of that. And for me, one of the things was, you know, the managers are called team leaders, right? I never knew that. I mean, I knew what a team leader was, but I didn't know that a team leader was the manager of the office. So an agent would come to me and go, oh, I'm in a transaction and I've got a problem with the agent and I've talked to them and I can't solve it. Can you call and talk to their manager? So I would try and do that. And I never, Rob Eigner, I could connect with Rob, very reasonable. I've known Rob for a long time. And we could get some solutions. But other than that, it was always, I always felt like I was banging my head against the wall trying to get anything solved. And I would be told repeatedly, oh, we don't have managers like that. So of course I told Josh and Paul, if I'm coming on board, well, you're gonna have a manager like that. Like it's non-negotiable. Who I am and what I do and how I work is who I am. And I want to be enhanced by everybody around it. But my reputation is tied to every single one of you in this room and everybody in Zoom land right now. So I expect everybody to be the best that they can be. And then imagine my surprise. Get here, you know, we started off in beach cities, right? And I'm like, oh, wow, they got some really good agents here. Agents that I've heard of, even though I was never a beach cities manager or an agent. Wow, okay, cool. And then we came here. The first day that we walked through, I'm meeting agents. I'm going, oh my God, I love these people. This is awesome. And none of that has changed. That was almost a month ago now, right? About 3 weeks ago, a month ago. Every day I'm meeting people going, these are great agents. So I love it when my preconceived notions, call it my prejudices, are challenged. I love that. That's been one of my favorite things with KW is, wow, have I misread this brand? And of course, then I hear all the horror stories about, oh, well, this office or this other. Oh, okay, cool. We're not going to be like that. We're not. We're going to have a great team. We're going to work together. We're going to support each other. And I'm going to be here for you guys. I love what I do. The day that I quit loving what I do, I'll go do something else. I'm qualified to do other stuff. I just love this because this is, all things considered, pretty easy. I told Josh and Paul and Joanne, you're not going to pay me to work. You just pay me to think. These three, you pay them to work. It's that simple. That's what I do is I think. I look at stuff. Question of the day, I should write it on the whiteboard. Every single day, I probably ask myself this question 100 times. What could possibly go wrong? Okay. I invite you to all embrace that because if you are in a transaction and you start off every day fresh and go, what could possibly go wrong today? Guess what? You're managing expectations and you're actually looking at a situation creating clarity for yourself so that you're not gonna get sued. So what could possibly go wrong will lead to more money for you, and you'll avoid courtrooms that cost you money. So, and I had a buddy of mine that he didn't even get sued. He double-ended a property, and there was a septic issue that the seller disclosed and he disclosed, and the buyer didn't want to do anything with it. And then the buyer brings their family for Thanksgiving, and the septic overflows and the backyard floods with sewage. Even though it was disclosed, even though a credit was offered for it, a credit was given for it, the buyer still chose to sue over it. What is a contract? It's permission to sue. It's all a contract is. Can we enforce a contract? Glenn, if we're in a transaction together and you're acting up, can I threaten to stab you with my pen if you don't do what you're gonna do? Right. So we can sue each other, and then somebody else is gonna figure out who was in the right. We don't do that. Chris was talking about that yesterday. Love this guy. Talking about what we can and can't do. We don't interpret this stuff. It's written very clearly. The nice thing in California, we have the best contracts in the whole country. I've reviewed contracts from every state. Some of them, oh my God, you'd think they're written in Greek. That like you can't understand anything what they said. Here, any fourth grader can read our contract and tell us exactly what it says. That's what we want. That clarity, we want that. So my buddy went to court for 18 months over this. Lives in Westlake Village. Court is downtown LA. I don't know if I'm pointing in the right directions because I'm all turning around here. And he would have to be at court 8 o'clock in the morning. So he'd be in the car by 5 o'clock and he'd be in rush hour traffic all the way to downtown LA, sit in court, wait. The bailiff is calling cases. The 4 o'clock comes around. All right, if your case has not been called, we'll continue tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock. That went on for months.
In all that time, he's not doing anything.
He's not doing any business. He told me later, he goes, I should have just given him $1.8 million because that's what it cost me for all the time that I had to go to court. It's not worth it. It's never worth it to go to court. So Carmody's first rule, don't get sued. Please adhere to that. Because you know what? If you guys end up having to go to court, I might have to go too. And I don't want to go to court. Cool. What was the question that led to that? Was that about dirt? My God. You see how my brain works. It's always derailing itself with some other information.
Tell us something good.
So tell us something good. So I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. Anybody else? Something good? I'm going to invite you, start every day with something good that happened yesterday that you appreciate, or something good that you want to happen today. And I read this article a while back about mood. And it was the simplest article. We get to choose every day if we're in a good mood or a bad mood. We choose that. It's not even driven by outside influence. Something bad happens, you get pulled over and given a ticket, and you still get to choose. So I always ask myself again, what's the worst that could happen? And is it a catastrophe or an inconvenience? Getting a ticket, it's an inconvenience, right? You get pulled over, you're gonna have to pay a couple $100 for the ticket. Probably gonna have to spend a few hours to go through traffic school. And if you don't do that, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Your insurance is gonna go up for 3 years. And I'm sorry, if you can't afford to pay your insurance, you really ought to be thinking about whatever it is you could go do to make money. Make enough money so you don't have to worry about an increase in your insurance, $35 a month for the next 3 years. Don't worry about it. Choose to be happy, move on, and go get it. And I call them Lego days. Any of you that have ever had kids or been a kid, you know what it feels like when you step on a Lego, right? Barefooted. So we've all had the Lego day. Wake up in the morning, oh, this is great. You stretch in bed and your back goes, oh, yeah. You climb out of bed and you step on a Lego. You're like, oh, everything happens in threes, right? So now you know you're going to stub your toe before you get out of your bedroom. When those days happen, full stop. You got to get your Zen back. You got to center yourself. You gotta stop, you gotta go, okay, so my back, now I gotta go see the chiropractor, okay, no big deal. The Lego, I'll talk to the kids about putting the Legos away, and this one, I'm just gonna make an example of, I'm gonna hit it with a torch or something, just to get even with it. And then the stub toe, my rule now is I live in flip-flops. I wear my flip-flops in the house because I'm constantly stubbing my flip-flop instead of my toe. So I don't stub my toes anymore because I put my flip-flops on in the house, even though I always tell my family, don't wear shoes in the house, wear my flip-flops. So I don't stub my toe. It's a choice. I get to decide how these things are going to affect me over the course of the day. And is it a catastrophe or an inconvenience? So start looking at the things that go sideways in your day. And sometimes you'll figure out that ticket you got pulled over for might have saved you from a tremendous accident that was 8 blocks ahead, that if you had been driving at your normal speed, you would have been right there when the train came through the intersection, or the cement truck or whatever. So everything happens for a reason. Embrace it, go with it. All right, what's next? Oh, look at that. Notice, by the way, dark hair. And it's funny because that photo is only, I don't know, 8 years old.
Oh, that's Scott.
That is me. Yeah, thank you, Tom.
You look great.
Thank you. I am
You look
great.
great.
I appreciate that. All right, keep going. Oh, by the way, my number, easiest way to get me is a text message. So I wrote it on the board the other day. I'll write it on the board again. If you're not saved in my phone and you call me, you do not ring on my phone. It's a setting. I put it on years ago. I don't know how to take it off. And I don't want to take it off because of all those spam calls. So just shoot me a text and go, hey, Scott, it's Villette. Can we talk in a few minutes? Great, cool, cool. I'll save you in my phone and we can do it. Cool. Who's this guy? Oh, yeah. Robert Welper. So is that the email that you prefer to use? Super easy, robert@forward1.com. Cool. So if you guys have not spent any time yet with Robert after the meeting, pull him aside, spend a few minutes, get doing. Next. And that handsome guy.
Anthony.
Anthony. So if you missed it when we spoke before, is it dry erase?
Yeah.
Where, and when we spoke before, going on 14 years with these guys right now. And they're the best at what we do. And you need to rely on them completely so that they will help you make more money. And it's going to be a combo. You want to make more money and you want to keep more of your money. So we're going to work together to make sure that you're not giving away the farm in transactions, because your clients are always going to come up with that renegotiation, right? Oh, they've done their inspections and they want some money. They've agreed they're going to pay you 2.5 if the seller doesn't pay it, and then the seller agrees to pay it. Well, now guess what they want? They want some of that money. We've all been there, right? Sean, we've been there, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. You know how you avoid doing that? Tell them up front before you start working together. And by the way, it's just a point of policy with me. I will negotiate hard for you with the seller, but I don't negotiate my money away. I work too hard for my money. I'm too good at what I do. I would rather have that conversation up front than waste 18 months with that person and then they want half of my commission that I've worked so hard for, because it's not about the money. You know what it is now? I'm resentful. How dare you? I've worked so hard for you and you want half of my money? That is the moment. I don't want to work with them anymore and I don't care about their referrals. I would rather know far in advance how that goes. Did I see a hand? And what's your name?
Hi, Joan Evans.
Hello, Joan.
Hi.
We texted over the weekend, right?
Yeah, I was just wondering, we haven't had these two positions before outside. I'm just wondering what are the duties, like, how are we supposed to do? The director of operations, what is it? Director of operations?
So basically, director of operations is everything. So Robert's job is to learn how everything works and understand it. And then he's got to get really good. When you ask a question of Robert, he's probably going to delegate it to somebody. It might be Sandy, it might be Anthony, it might be me. But you go to Robert and go, how do I do X, Y, and Z? Or how does this work? And he's gonna figure it out. And he's gonna have checklists. We all like checklists. Robert is the checklist master. And he's also the MLS master. Like, we have to follow all the MLS rules, right? Anybody ever receive a pink envelope from the MLS because you violated some little known? Really, nobody? Wow, okay, cool. Well, I know you. So if you get one of those pink envelopes, the first thing you do before you even respond to anything is you go right to Robert and go, I got a pink envelope. Let Robert find out what he can do. Now, if it's a recurring problem that you keep doing and you, it's not my fault, right? It's never my fault. So if you take that approach and he talks to the MLS and they're like, look, we've talked to this agent 6 times about this, it's probably not going away because they're tired of your nonsense. But if it's something that can go away, he's gonna be the guy that knows who to talk to at the MLS. The mafia has an expression, you got to have a guy. I shared this with somebody the other day. It might have been Albert. You got to have a guy. That's the fixer, whoever it is. So in this office, that's the guy. You want Robert. So reach out and get to him. Yes.
So do we go in?
Well, if it's something that has to do with negotiation or contract, whatever, you come to me. But if it's procedural stuff, if you want to know how do I find something, or how do I do this, or how do I get this e-blast, boom, 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 boom. Robert's going to give you the broad strokes and then connect you with Anthony. Because agents always want to know, how do I do an e-blast? Well, if you do it wrong, you're going to be shut down. The internet sees you, as a virus. Yeah, sir.
So about that pink note that you're talking about over the mail, why would you get it? I mean, I never heard about it. First time I ever heard of it.
We have all kinds of rules with the multiple listing service that we agree to when we sign a contract. We're all members, right? You all just paid your dues, I think. So we have to agree to their rules. If you violate their rules, they might not catch it. But another agent is probably going to catch it and they're going to rat you out, which is why another reason you want to have great relationships in the brokerage community so you can get away with stuff. Then when you do, you'll get the violation notice in the mail, and it's anywhere from what, $150 to $1,500 or.
You actually get an email now, and so I'm actually CC'd on those emails, so if I can fix it, I'll fix it.
Cool.
Before you.
He's the fixer.
Yeah, so I'm kind of confused right now because now we've got two Godfather one, which is Robert, and Godfather two, which is Robert. So,
Joe is out of commission.
all right.
No. See, when I say you rely on your team, from what I've been able to figure out so far, the most integral part of the team in this office is Joe. Okay, he knows everybody, he knows everything, and the help that he provides our agents just in an offhanded way is fantastic. The value that he brings just as somebody you have a relationship with is exactly what I'm talking about. You want to create that in the brokerage community. And you, in the future, you want to strive to be the Joe that other people come to and say, Glenn, I have a question. And you want to be that person that does. No, nobody can be Joe except for Joe. And you know what? Nobody can be partying except for partying too. So we need to know our strengths and delegate our weaknesses. It's easy to do. All right, what else? Next.
Actually,
Yes,
can
sir.
I do a quick
Oh, yeah, come on.
Right here, I believe. Perfect. All right. So my name is Anthony. If you need any help with marketing, please let me know. If you want to prepare for a listing presentation, an open house, I can help you with custom marketing materials. brochures, folded brochures, listing presentation books, we have them available, so please reach out. That's my email address. I'm also gonna be in the office, and I'll be giving you marketing tips every
week.
on Wednesday, so, yeah.
So. Thank you, Anthony. So, we have a marketing center, right? Every brokerage has, you know, you can go online and you can find the brochure or the postcard, whatever, and click and drag and send it to your printer, whatever. Cool. That's great for most of your run-of-the-mill stuff. If you need anything that is custom, anything that needs to really shine, you need this guy. Okay, he's gonna take whatever we have and he's gonna look at it and go, either it sucks and we're gonna do something else, or let's fluff it up. Let's take what's here and enhance it. And sometimes the changes are so subtle, you don't even notice what they are. Because that's not what we do. That's what he does. Always hire a professional to do what a professional does. And if you want your stuff to look good, go to Anthony. Now this, by the way, this book right here, okay? We have these books and you fill it in, you put, you know, whatever it is, your stuff in here that you want to have for a listing presentation. So I'm gonna ask a question. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but it is, it's 11 o'clock. If you got a text message right now from somebody that said, hey, can you come and talk to me at 1 o'clock today about listing my house? How many of you, with no stress at all, would go, yeah, I can make that happen? Show your hands. Love it. It's a good number. Cool. If your hand didn't go up, that should be what you want to work on right now. Because when listings control the market, right? Buyers have nothing to sell if we don't have listings, if we can't find them. So at your deepest basis level, you want to be a listing agent. Even if you work mostly with buyers, you want to be a listing agent. Nail your listing presentation. And see, here's the thing. Let me have that again.
Well, let me be clear. Yeah, there would be some stress because for me, there'd be nerves.
Yeah.
And do I have all my materials together to give the best that I can
So,
do?
so
That would be there.
what is this? What is it?
Tool.
It's a tool. In speech class in college, we would have called it a visual aid. So I get to get up here and I get to have something I hold on to while I talk to you about this beautiful something that's in my hand. Trust me when I say, if you go into a living room with people and you start doing this, flipping, you're not going to get that listing. You are not there for this book. You are there for you. The book is a leave behind. You want to bring it in. There is an art to a listing presentation. Way more art than science, and it's all connection. First of all, if you're in their home, you're already a winner. They're not going to let average moron agents into their home. They're not. Something that you did made them invite you into their home. Don't squander that. Be very appreciative when you get there. Thank you so much. Can I come in? Yes, please. Great. Always ask them. Is there some place where we're going to meet that I could leave my stuff? And they'll go, yes, the living room. Don't ever assume where you're going to sit in the living room. Where would you like me to sit? I use the analogy of Sheldon Cooper from Big Bang Theory TV show. Anybody who sits in Sheldon's spot on the couch, he stands right in front of him and goes, you're in my spot, you're in my spot, you're in my spot. But that's his spot because it's the most obvious, most comfortable place in the room. If you walk into a living room and you pick the most obvious, comfortable place to sit, guarantee you're sitting in the seller's favorite spot. And now you're meeting with them in their living room and all they're thinking is, you're in my spot. They're not hearing you, they're not there. So you gotta leave your stuff wherever it is. And then you want to get a tour of the home. And you want to ask them, what was it when you bought this home? What did you love about it? What was it that really resonated with you? Because we're probably going to connect with people that are similar to you in selling the home. And I want to know, to be able to say, oh my God, you know, one of the things the sellers loved about this house was the X, Y, and Z. And subliminally, they're already thinking, well, that's what I love about it too. And you know, the seller bought that house because that, whatever that X, Y, and Z is, wasn't available anywhere else. They had to have it. It's there. So you want to make that connection with a seller and you want to do that. We'll do a whole presentation on the art form of the listing presentation. But I will tell you this, I'll leave it here and then we'll go back to Sandy. Agents ask me all the time, do you miss being a real estate agent? And I go, no, not really, because I still get to do the fun stuff, right? I get to do negotiations. You guys get in a tough situation. I get to step in and help negotiate. My favorite part about being an agent was a listing presentation. That's it. If I had a system set up and a team where I could sit in 5 living rooms a week, I wouldn't do any of the rest of this. You'd never see me putting out open house signs, which I hate, picking up open house signs, which I hate even more. Any of that stuff. I don't care. I want to sit in living rooms and talk to sellers. Figure out what's going on. That's the meat and potatoes of who I am as a real estate agent. If I could do that, I wouldn't do anything else. I would have other people that handle other stuff. I'd be there for the showings though, because you got to have eyes on with buyers to know what they're thinking. How can you negotiate with somebody if you don't know if they love the house? So this is a crutch you got to have. If you ever open your listing presentation, you're probably not going to get that. All right, what's next, Andy?
Chris Vogt.
Chris, you still with us? I know we're on the way.
Well, I'm napping. No, that was great, Scott. So, no, no, look, so, March 1966, is that anything important to you?
What was it?
March 1966?
Yeah, March 1966 has a lot to do with me.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, so you're my older brother by, let's see here, if I can do my math, 4 months-ish. So, so welcome. And, that was awesome, by the way. I am, just so y'all know, I am not a false praiser, meaning, I'm not one of the people that walks in the room and no matter what goes on goes, oh, that was awesome. That was awesome. I only candidly say that was awesome if that was awesome. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to be very brief because obviously we're a little bit past 11. And though it appears to me based on early returns, you have an exceptional leader, or we have an exceptional leader in Scott and in the crew in your market center. So as you were going through a lot of what you talked about today, Scott, there's a lot of commonality with the exception, aside from the year of our birth, in terms of the way we're wound. So I could take another hour and I'm not going to. I'm going to simply say this: the world, I was told by my early mentor, is that the world doesn't lack teachers, it lacks students. And you've got a great leader and teacher in Scott. I'm actually very relieved because, you know, I've only been in the world for a short period of time. And when there's a change, there's a lot of people who claim to be leaders in our world and in our industry. And then there's a handful that are truly leaders. So based on my early assessment, we got a really good one here. So Scott, I appreciate that. A lot of things that you said were resonated with me. Now, with that said, there are a couple of things we'll need to catch up on the KW isms, but we can talk about that later. So, ironically, Scott, how much?
I need a whole dictionary, Chris. I don't know any of them. I need the book.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're smart. You'll absorb them really fast. So, Scott, how much of this did we pre-rehearse?
Zero. We didn't even.
Zero.
We've never
Zero.
before.
Zero. I love it. So what I was going to talk about, I'm going to talk about very briefly, is the cancellation form, ironically. And I'm going to tell you where that's come from. So I like the real world. And when I start to see a trend, and I don't like talking about cancellation forms, generally, because that means we're canceling and something's not happening. But as many of you know, as a practitioner, I practice the business exceptionally well with my son, who's also a broker, and my wife. And my son's involved in a transaction right now in which it appears the buyer may cancel. Now, this comes on the heels where I've been working with some of your colleagues over this last couple of weeks on some pretty nasty cancellations. And so the text that I sent to my business partner's son was simply this: just remind your seller that sometimes it's better to cancel than to close and have post-close issues. Y'all get that? So I know a lot of times we're
Almost like
thinking,
I've heard that before.
right. So we want the commission. I get that. And sometimes the best thing that can happen for all the parties involved, not just us, is that there's a cancellation. Now, as you all know, CAR has got a form for that, and it's really important. And the only part I'm going to touch on today, just briefly, is the opening salvo of the form. Okay. So after you fill out the information, buyer, seller, property, blah, 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 then the first salvo, as I would say, is entitled in bold, advisory and instructions. Advisory and instructions. And here's what it says: the party canceling the agreement is required to act in good faith. So that's the first thing that we need to get in our head. Disputes over cancellation deposits can be complex legal issues and can be expensive to resolve. And then it says this in bold. And this is the part, I want you to hear all of it, but I really want you to hear this part. Agents are not qualified to provide an opinion on who is entitled to deposited funds or whether a cancellation was made in good faith. Buyer and seller are advised to seek advice of a qualified California real estate attorney regarding this matter. Okay, so in our effort oftentimes to want to help and want to have the answer, and Scott touched on the fact, sometimes the answer is we don't know. Now, we might know what the contract says. We might be able to give some sort of like probability, but we don't know. In fact, the form that they sign says we can't tell you whether you're canceling in good faith, or if the buyer is canceling in good faith, or the seller is trying to cancel in good faith, right? We can't tell you that. The form says that. It says it in bold. So as I've been sharing with you on the Zooms, it's our job, again, not to be form geeks, because we want to be highly relational, but we also want to be highly technical. Therefore, it is our job to illuminate or bring the form to life, bring the language to life in a conversational manner. But it simply says it on.
Oh.
Doing our job as a professional, it's really important that we just stick to the facts and ultimately what our buyers and sellers are signing. So that's all I'm going to touch on today out of respect for everybody's time this morning, Scott.
I love it. We'll probably do a whole session, thank you, Chris, on cancellation protocols and managing expectations before we get to a point that we want to cancel. Because like Chris said, we would never tell a client, oh yeah, you get to keep their deposit. Because unless they're willing to let their deposit go, it's going to require some kind of a court decision to do that. Never overpromise something that you could then be in a position to underdeliver. Because what's going to happen then? Now they want you to pay that money because you said you'd get me that 3%. We don't do that.
Hey, Scott.
Sir.
So you were talking earlier about setting expectations. So the time to really address this issue with a buyer or seller is actually when you're either writing the RPA or you're presenting the RPA as a listing agent. That's when you talk about it, you give them the high level overview. When you're explaining to them up front before you ever get to this point, that if we get to this point in the transaction, here's what that looks like, so on and so forth. So you've already set that expectation so that, goodness forbid, this day comes, this isn't the first time they've heard of this concept, because then they get upset going, well, why didn't you say something before? I didn't know that. What do you mean? So on and so forth. So setting proper expectations, as Scott has indicated, is really important on all matters in our business, and how we set our clients up is going to be a big difference between how they receive things later on in a transaction.
Love it. I'm going to take that a step further. It's not a one and done. If you have an initial buyer consultation where you sit down with a buyer, talk about these things, have your checklist so that you can talk about them and make sure that you've checked everything off your checklist. Then when you get into escrow, you remind them of the conversation you already had regarding if they default, their deposit may be in jeopardy. get their buy-in on that. Oh, I remember that. Yeah, we talked about that. And then when they're ready to remove their contingencies, this is generally where real estate agents get giddy. Oh my God, the deal's gonna go hard. This is where I get clammy. Oh my God, what could possibly go wrong? So I'm gonna have the conversation again and go, look, remember what I said early on and again, when we started this process. If you remove your contingencies, it's because you're approving of everything now. And your deposit, remember we talked about your deposit being in jeopardy? This is the action that is gonna make that in jeopardy. Are you sure you're ready to follow through on this contract? Remove your contingencies, move forward to closing and enjoy your new home. Have that conversation. Don't be afraid to do it. There's no reason to ever be afraid of any of these conversations with our clients if we manage their expectations every step of the way.
Okay,
So-
Scott, so since you furthered me, I'm gonna further that. So
Please.
Scott's absolutely correct. Have that conversation, and then as you send the document and or your TC, you're gonna have a little love note, and it's called the confirming email or the confirming note. And it simply says, hey, Scott, it was great chatting with you, blah, 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 blah. As we discussed, here's the attached forms, removing your contingencies. As we discussed, after signing these, so on and so forth. That way they don't come back later and said, well, Scott, that's not what I understood. So documenting, doing really nice documentation in your file. That way, when the phone rings, it makes it really easy for Scott or myself to say, well, that's interesting. We have a bit of documentation in the file that actually says, here's what's going to happen next. So the confirming email is worth its weight in platinum, gold, diamonds, rubies, whatever the case may be.
Anything you say can only be used to incriminate you. It will never exonerate you. It's what you put into writing. And what Chris just said, I had a situation a couple years ago with a very serious client. I was with our agent when they had the conversation with the client. It's crystal clear. Hung up the phone and I said, put it in an email and send it to him right now.
Yep.
Memorialized it in an email and they sent it off. It was crystal clear. 90 seconds later, the client calls screaming on the phone. That's not what we talked about. It was crystal clear. It was something very simple. And they did not like getting painted into a corner with a written confirmation because the written confirmation is what will exonerate you in a courtroom. Anything verbal, you're going down.
Yeah.
That's it. You're going down. Cool. I love this stuff, Chris.
Great work.
Sandy. Oh. Because we're going long.
Hey, Scott, I'm going to jump off. Have a great day, everyone, and appreciate you all so much.
Chris, I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks when you're down here.
Perfect. See you. Bye.
All right. Boom, RPA 201, 905. Was that yesterday? That's tomorrow. 2 more hours tomorrow. All right. He did 2 hours yesterday. I got to tell you guys, I am an anal nut when it comes to the contract. I loved that 2 hours yesterday. It was not as in-depth as we're going to do when we get down to it, but it was the best RPA presentation I've ever seen anybody do. So tomorrow for 2 hours, and we're not going to do any more on Caravan Day. We talked to Chris about that because it's disconnect because he has more. So tomorrow from 1 to 3, plan on sitting in on that. It's going to be good stuff. And I'm assuming he's gonna pick it up at page 8 and finish off what he did yesterday.
Sure hope so.
Yeah, we'll see. Cool. All right, what else? What else? Oh, Tammy.
Tammy just left and apologized. She just said she had somebody waiting for 15 minutes and she had to attend to it. So she apologized for that.
Cool. So I want to talk about Tammy for just a minute. The fact that Tammy, she's not even employed by Keller Williams. She comes in and she offers coaching to our agents and our agents pay for it. And I sat with Tammy the other day. As a lifelong teacher, I've always said, no teacher has all the answers. So people don't like to spend money on schooling. And I always say, you're looking at it the wrong way. You need to invest in your education. And I remember a 5-day seminar taught by a guy named Rand Smith. He was a Northern California broker. He came down, he did 8 hours a day, 5 days, all week, we were in the room. My takeaways at the end of that week, there were 2 takeaways that I had. The rest of the time was like chewing on tinfoil. But those 2 takeaways, when Rand Smith was at the podium on the stage, were unbelievable. And I still use them to this day. So I had to sit through 40 hours plus driving wherever we had to drive to do that, to get 2 tidbits out of it. And it was a lot of money. It was like $2,000 25 years ago. It was worth it. In hindsight, way more than worth it. So
What were the tidbits?
we'll get there. You already know, certainly one of them that I talk about all the time. The other one I kind of hold back, but the brain trust in this office is incredible. Use it. Reach out. A lot of people here that have your best interests at heart. Feel free to reach out. Next. New listings. Love it. Okay, so I was talking with Sharam yesterday about the new listings. And if you have new listings, let us know so we can stick them up here. If you have a win, let us know. We'll stick it up here. Close an escrow or close a lease, whatever. Let us know. And I know, you've got the paperwork ready. Still, remind Sandy so that we get it up here on the board so that we can shout it out. And you can see how I slaughter names. So let's go. All right, Astrid, new listing?
Yeah.
Way to go. Congratulations. It's Eliza?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She was here, right? No?
Yes, she
I met Mona yesterday. So, Charlotte, congratulations there. Janice, new lease in Culver City. Now, that's not the one that you went to show and fly. It's a different one?
You know, I was there this morning. It's virtually Playa Vista. And it has a zip code that calls it Culver City, but it's on the west side of the 405. Who thinks of the west side of the 405 as being Culver City?
Culver City's got that weird identity
And
crisis
yes,
thing
it's
going
the city of
on.
Los Angeles, and it's fed by
Yeah, it's just-
LA Unified School District.
Okay,
It's right around the corner from Playa del Rey Elementary School, which is.
I think they redid it not too long ago because of popularity of people moving there.
I'm gonna share this because I want to move it along.
That's really where.
You heard me say I hate leases. I hate leases because agents never treat them with the respect that they deserve. They do it like, I'm only making a little bit of money, I don't care. So they don't follow through on the paperwork. Now, if you're a pro, if you're a leasing pro, you are worth your weight in gold. So don't fall into the weakness of it's only a lease. I never ever want to hear somebody say it's only a lease. And if you knew what Janice went through to get this one ready to go, she's already spent more than she's ever going to make on this to get it done, because that's what it means to take care of the client. And in California, 68% of real estate lawsuits come from lease agreements. 68%.
Wow.
Okay, in California. All right, Valette, 5,500 on Tremaine. Oh, I think I know that property. That's very cool. Okay, Alfred?
Yeah. Alfred and Shaku,
She's out of the country.
she's out of the country and Alfred is not here. It's three units, for lease. And that's what.
3750 in West Hollywood. You know, you can't lease a 1-bedroom apartment in Van Nuys for $2,000 anymore, so that's pretty good. What else we got? More. Lena on Havenhurst, another lease. Joan, look at that.
Hi.
On Elm, another lease. Love it. Congratulations. Sean, another, man, we do a lot of leasing here, don't we? Oh, I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna learn a whole lot.
That's a long speech.
Alfred and Shoku again. Sean again, Westminster Avenue in Venice. Venice for $3,000 a month.
Oh, sorry. It's on Western
What is the address?
165 Wilshire Boulevard, unit 907. Yeah, that's it.
Well, this probably means you should go knock on 206 North Elm. That's a different one? All right, is the price right?
The price is 45.
Oh, that's the wrong price.
So this is just old, is what I'm hearing.
Everything is wrong.
All right,
Everything,
cool.
except me and my neighbor.
We'll fix that. I'm gonna blame Anthony for that. So we'll fix that. Already went through these. What else we got?
May I ask you a question?
You may.
You mentioned that we should tell you when we have a new listing. My understanding was when Sandy, right, it goes to the MLS. You pull it from there. Yeah. Okay, but in addition to that, should we still tell the office?
I would love it if you tell the office and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Many times, what happens is something falls through the cracks somewhere. The it goes into the MLS, it's great, and then the office is not notified in a reasonable period of time.
Oh,
So what we want to avoid in managing everybody's expectations is I never want you to feel like you've been disrespected because we didn't mention your new lease or your new listing, even though next week we're probably going to know about it. So, you know,
Yeah,
always plan for that.
I just feel saying, you know, everybody else has been in this office for a long time. Never has that happened.
Good.
I mean, this office is so awesome and whoever has been in charge, even with all of the changes in leadership and
Sandy.
other employees, you know, and realtors, they've really been fantastic, right?
Thank you so much.
About posting and being very respectful, so.
Well, again,
I'm very grateful
Sandy's the best.
To work in this office.
I love that, Joan. And together, we're gonna make it even better.
Shout out.
Okay, so he and I were talking about this yesterday, and I know it's been emailed out a few times. So 38 million bucks, the Park Central building downtown, killer location downtown. Now, why do we put this up here? If you're not doing commercial stuff and you're not talking to people? Because it gives you something else to talk about when you are talking with your sphere of influence. And let's say you're one of those agents like me, didn't do commercial, never wanted to do commercial, I'm always gonna refer it out. But you know what? I've had a lot of conversations with really good clients of mine over the years that have turned into some awesome commercial referrals. And I remember one time many years ago, doing a commercial referral for a friend of mine, just referred him over to a commercial agent. And he's like, oh, this is great. When I put this together for his company, you'll get a referral fee. I'm like, yeah, take me to lunch. I had no idea what the referral fee looked like. It was a lease. But it's the 5-year or 10-year lease, whatever it was, he paid for the whole thing. He was a little surprised I wanted him to take me to lunch. Well, it closes and there's an envelope on my desk and I open it. And there's a check and I go, what is this? And I asked him, I go, what is this? And he goes, that's the referral fee for your friend Bob with that lease. And I'm like, it was tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, it's because it's paid on the entire amount and then they extend. And I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea. So I went from wanting nothing to do with commercial to loving knowing about commercial, just so I can talk with my sphere of influence about commercial stuff. And with Avenue 8, when I was managing San Francisco and the Bay Area, I was up there, you know, every month or so I would go up and I would walk around and I would see, I had a whole other appreciation for commercial from San Francisco that turned into a lot of conversations, and those conversations turn into money. We're agents, that's what we do. We put people together and we get paid for it. So this is why I put this up here, because it's a good deal in a killer location and he's ready to sell it. Like, let's get it going on. All right, what else we got? Closings. What did we close this week? Wow. Donna Mena. Eliza and Mona again in Studio City. Love that location. Congratulations, ladies. Ashley. Oh, and Irvine. Very cool. Congrats on that. Shoku again. She's closing deals. She's out of the country making money. I love that. And some guy named Joe closed a fourth. Congrats. Is there another page or is that what we got right now? Cool. So guys, I love it. Again, our goal is to help you make more money. Joe, yes.
New listing,
Yes, what do you got?
4777, Government Encino, coming next week. It wasn't a lease, we couldn't lease it out, it just, for whatever reason, they're going to say, you know what's good, we're just gonna sell it. So
Even better.
if you have clients in the valley, it's a gorgeous house, remodeled with a pool, backyard, great school district. It's just by one of the 405 easy access to the freeway. So if you have clients looking and your next budget is how much? It's about 1.6, 1.7. We haven't decided, that's what I think that.
Great price.
3 bedroom, 2.5, the bathroom and the kitchen were updated. Pool was updated, in the last year. So and then has a solar panel, so I love.
So in the valley, the median price is somewhere hovering around 1.4 to get Encino in that block on Firmament for 1.6, 1.7. It's a home run.
Also get one closing without her, but we couldn't post it on the MLS because the seller didn't want us to post it as sold. It's a lease on town at 11:15 now, so that was another closing. It's a lease, but we closed it, but the seller says, I don't want it to be posted for whatever reason, that's sold, so we just canceled.
Great.
So.
Congratulations. Cool. Tom.
Hey, everybody, I'm Thomas.
So Tom came with us as part of the group from Avenue 8. So please welcome Tom if you don't know Tom. And he speaks up and on all the Zooms too.
I have a very unique opportunity. I have 3 hectares, which is about 7.4-ish acres. In Mexico, El Tuito, just quaint little village, just outside of Puerto Vallarta. And it's become very popular with tourism. Beautiful land, fruit trees, natural artesian water, small creek that runs through it. Perfect for development for Airbnb, casitas. It's up in the hill and it's mostly flat, up in the hill, plateaued. Amazing opportunity for development, to put a couple of casitas and
How much?
Airbnb them. I'm getting pricing right now,
Roughly.
under 200,000 American.
For 7 acres plus?
Right now, the dollar to the peso
Right. It's
is
really
about 19, at least it was yesterday. So this is a really good opportunity. I'm probably gonna be referring this out to our Keller Williams partners in Puerto Vallarta. But I am very tight with the owner. It's my wife's best friend. So I know what she needs, but I also know what I think it's worth. And it's worth, it's a good deal all around, could be made.
Cool.
So let me know. Pardon me?
It's
Land, yeah, it's just raw land. And the thing about Puerto Vallarta in that area is a lot of Americans are buying there now. There's a lot of, they call it gringos. And it's really super popular right now. And I guess it's been for a while. I'm learning a
How many
lot.
houses do you think they can build?
7 acres.
Depends on what kind of houses you want.
Ideally, the way they have their other, they have a total of 6 hectares, so about 14 acres. So the other, they have 2 small 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom casitas.
I would tend to get that written up, post any photos you have, and let's send it out to the offices.
Okay.
Let's get that done.
All the views of the ocean.
Pardon me?
And views, you probably.
No, it's 25 minutes away from a beautiful beach. And it's about 15-minute drive away from a beautiful river that empties into the ocean. And it's just super popular for not only Americans that go there, but it's also super popular for the local population to go camping, to escape to nature. This little town, El Tuito, is just like out of a Mexican storybook. They're famous for their bread, their cheeses. It's small, it's a pueblo.
Sounds like you gotta write a good email.
Yeah.
Congrats on that.
Or no.
All right. I'm fresh new.
Or no. Very sorry to go.
Back to Joe.
I do have a client that he has a property in Mexico, and he wants to trade, he came to me, was saying, you know, if the seller willing to do some sort of a trade or whatever. So if you have a client that is interested in investing in Mexico, I do have a client, you know.
Cool.
that,
Cool. Talk offline, Glenn.
So just really quick, there's 5 of us in the office that created websites through Zipper Agent. And on Zipper Agent, they do post everything to our websites.
We couldn't hear
For
you.
sale here.
Go ahead,
So the Zipper Agent that we sign up for our website, I'm not saying everyone should do it, but on our websites in the office, we do have our own website for KW. We could probably do the same, send all the MLS listings to our websites.
Cool. Sit with Sandy or Robert and figure out if that's scalable for everybody. Lonnie,
Hello, everyone.
another Avenue agent who came along with us, Lonnie, not
Yes,
Sarah.
yes. Nice to meet you all. I'm sure we'll get to meet you personally. Lease opportunity, potential sell in the future, but for right now, there is, the place called The Garden on Foot Hill. It's a restaurant. It has so many opportunities, 2 big parking lots, 1 banquet hall, 2 outdoor, and 13 separate gazebos. It's really beautiful and will be up for lease. And there is another property on the same Foot Hill Boulevard. It will be,
So
Tahanga.
we're talking north end of the valley foothill, not Beverly Hills foothill.
Yeah, it's called Sunland Tahanga. It's about an hour away from here.
So it's only for lease, not for sale?
For lease for right now. The business will be up for sale separately. The real estate will be for lease, and then there is 2 other properties on the same, Foothill Boulevard or close to it that will be up for lease as well or sell. So
Oh,
there is
that's great.
on that area.
It is.
I love
If,
Toowoomba.
if you're leasing the property, how is the business for sale?
It will be together. It's
So, you know what, so basically.
either together or they will just have to
Shut down. the
shut down,
business,
yeah.
Shut down, the business. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a, right, so, because that didn't make sense.
Yeah, it would just be up for discussion depending on what.
And right now, it's like, this event, it's a venue place.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
restaurant.
it is, yeah.
Right.
And it's up for discussion, but the other properties, it's like a munchies, it's a different type of tobaccos. And it used to be a mechanic shop, so it's ready to go to be leased for mechanic, or they can change it, but if the actual property is a commercial shop.
So what is the whole square footage, like rentable square footage?
I have all the details, so if you're interested, you can ask me, because it's 3 properties, it's not just one, and there are different negotiations.
Great, cool. Glenn,
So we have a property on Hauser, 2227 Hauser for lease, at 4750. 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom farmhouse. If anyone has anyone that wants to see it. I am
and it's
sure
how much?
It's 47.
4750.
Yeah.
On Hauser.
And then I'm getting, well, Joe, Alpha and myself are getting Brighton.
Yeah.
And that's coming soon.
Yeah, so we have, you know, these are great for students with UC. So we have an ongoing relationship with the landlord. We have rented, there are 4 units on Brighton.
Yeah.
And we have 2 units, number 1 Hauser. So if you ever have clients that you see that they're looking for rental, it's a, that vicinity, great rental property.
Yeah.
It's a newer properties that are both been built in the last 4 years, 3 years. 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom units, so that's great.
The one on Brighton is a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom upper unit with 2 patios, one facing the street and the other is facing the back. And the one on Hauser is the front unit of a 2-unit townhouse.
Cool. Love it. Sandy.
We've got Essence online.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, Scott.
Hello, Essence.
How you feeling? I just had a question for the gentleman that was speaking about the properties in Mexico. Is it okay if I have your information?
Sure, Essence, absolutely.
Thank you.
You want me to tell you right now my phone number?
Sure, you can give it over to Sandy, whichever you feel most comfortable sharing.
Give it to Sandy.
Okay, I'll give it to
Essence.
Okay,
Give it to
thank
Sandy.
you.
Thank you, Essence.
Thank you.
All right. Who else?
And, I have 3 customers, sorry, 3 clients looking in Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Palisades, up to 20 million. I have one, looking in Beverly Wood, up to 2.6. I have, yeah. Yeah, if anybody has any off market, we have a lot of people.
Okay, cool.
Apartment, no, it's, Beverly Wood,
You guys talk offline. John,
not apartment.
Anybody else wants to, there have been some announcements from various agents, I don't know their phone number or email. Hey, how do we?
I'm adding it to the roster.
Oh,
Yeah.
so,
Okay. great.
and you're sitting next to Janice Gabbard right now,
Yeah, I know.
who is one of the pros of real estate. We are very lucky to have Janice with us. Janice and I have been together for, well, decades. We've worked together now. So you get Janice back there. Tom, you've met. Paul is another Avenuator that came along with us here. So I'm hoping we're gonna see more of Paul. Paul has had shingles for like the last year and he's finally over it. So it's very, very, very touching there. Lisa, another Avenue A transfer came with us. And Lonnie, another that you met. And then Stephen was here and I think he might have just walked out. And he was here like 8 o'clock this morning. So Stephen Kaufman. So, and there's more that just couldn't be here today. We're thrilled to be here. And I know we went long and I apologize for that, but, yes.
One, 3 bedroom, 441 hotels, but.
3 bedroom, 441 Oakhurst.
Yes, but almost more than 20 days in the market, but pregnant for somebody